After the Valencia Marathon DNF disaster, is this the end of train harder, not smarter? That's the question on everyone's mind. So let's try to work out why it all went so horribly wrong and look at where do I go from here. In this bumper episode, I'll also be revealing my next big race, where the sub 2:10 marathon barrier will be under attack once again. And I'll even be hitting the labs to see if the science backs my insane training methods. But first, let's quickly recap the worst race of my life. So I'd committed fully to the way of the marathon monk, and for 3 months, knocked out 280k weeks, packed full of triple run days, sub 220 training marathons, and never-ending bowls of rice and raw egg. It was make or break, and I was pushing the limit of what this cart horse could handle. But I managed to survive the block and arrived at race day in the best shape of my life. A huge PB was in the bank for sure, right? Well, I was as surprised as anyone when 5k into the race, I'm redlining. By 10k, I've popped, and after halfway, I've lost consciousness entirely and ploughed on in a zombified state for kilometers on end before the medical team eventually put me out of my misery and dragged me off the course. Not the ideal race, I guess. So it's the day after the marathon, or I guess I can't really call it a marathon, day after the 25k. And actually my body feels pretty good. I guess all the damage usually from a marathon comes in that final, 15k or so, when you're just crawling, like all the quad damage, the calves, usually they're so banged up, but today I feel absolutely fine, no problem at all. I guess because every week in training, I probably do a harder run than what I did yesterday. So that's pretty good. It means that I should be able to bounce back straight into like proper training soon. And I even got out for a shakeout this morning. Actually, it was a RTJ shakeout. We had some diehards getting out the day after a marathon. Fair play, they're out in full force, following that train harder, not smarter methodology. So shout out everyone that made it there. But now we've got a few days just exploring around Valencia with the Ran fam over here. Hello.
Oh, I've got a race at Sunday. Oh, I'm in public filming.
What do you have to say for yourself?
Hey guys.
So I'm going to bounce straight back into some shorter distance races. I've got a few planning while I'm back over Christmas. I'm here until December 28th and I'm squeezing in classic RTJ fashion, a 10k, 5 miler, a parkrun 5k, and then the Christmas handicap. It's a nice little run out of speed races before we head back to Japan for marathon season. Now, of course, while we were here, we had to explore the Scran to España theme and taste as many of the local delicacies as possible. Now, most of it was pretty banging, but I'm gonna throw out a controversial take right here. Paella. Unbelievably overrated. Maybe we just got a bad batch, but chucking a load of dry rice in a pan, drowning it in buckets of salt, and topping it off with some rubbery seafood doesn't quite do it for me. But they redeem themselves at least with this sweet treat.
Right,
We've got the paparazzi in the background. The live churros taste test.
Oh, totally got content.
What do we reckon?
Oh
Posting
yeah.
a video on the Valencia trip. Yeah.
Every week there's one. Trying to.
Give it a rate.
8.3. It's actually less sweet than I thought. The chocolate's not mega sweet.
I don't know.
6.5.
Sorry, say that again. So I guess not everyone was sold, but with Valencia ticked off, the sightseeing at least, the race will have to wait till next year. It was back home to jump straight back into racing. Or so I'd planned, but immediately after the marathon, I woke up with what felt like a throat full of razor blades. And this only deteriorated over the next few days until I was completely out of action. Jeez, I'm exhausted just walking up a hill right now. I'm in a pretty bad way. I never ever get ill. I think the 2 years I've been in Japan, I've never once had a cold, an illness, nothing. But then I think the travel just wipes you out a bit. So I come back, picked up an illness. I felt it almost a day straight after Valencia. So maybe that was just lurking in the background during the race. But since then I've had no energy. Like the last couple of days, I've tried to get out for a run and I've like popped halfway through the run, running like 5-minute Ks, 8-minute miling. So today, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm having a day off running. You know, there's a bench here. Let me take a seat because I'm struggling filming and walking right now. So the whole reason Valencia was an absolute shocker and just useless from the start, I felt off immediately. Could just be because I'm ill, like it could be I picked up a flu, some kind of illness, and that just meant that I was working so much harder to hit the paces. But there definitely could be some other things going on, like the anemia, the iron deficiency. You want to get to the bottom of that, like what's the underlying cause? And I know that if I can just boost my hemoglobin, knock that up a couple notches, then I could take 5-10 minutes off my marathon time. Like I've proved that in the past without actually getting any fitter. Like in 1 month, month, I can literally jump to a whole nother level. So right now, physically, I might be able to run a sub 2:10 marathon, but my body at the moment can't hack it because there's not enough red blood cells to pump that oxygen around when I'm running. So I'm like capped, that aren't just acting as a limiter, and we've got to try and figure out what's causing the problem. Well, my plan this week is to get some blood tests done, just get everything checked out, see if there's any anomalies, anything that stands out. But while I'm waiting for that, I've got one of these little bad boys. And this is because I've had quite a few people to suggest I check for celiac disease, because a lot of the symptoms apparently that I've been showing are similar, and that could actually be causing the iron. So let's give this a go now and see if we get a positive. So a bit like before, when I was checking my iron, I originally got one of those at-home kits, and it did actually work. And then I got it properly checked up with the doctor. But I'm thinking this isn't a bad place to start. Right, let's get this cracking. So I have people suggesting that the change from a mainly rice-based diet in Japan to a much more gluten-heavy one over here during the taper and the carbo load could have poisoned my body if I had a problem with celiac lurking undetected. So I'm not sure if I did this right, but hopefully it works. I'm gonna put 3 drops here. 1, 2, 3. All right, we leave that and then give it, I think, 10 minutes and we'll come back for the results. But while we wait for those, it's time for a spicy segment. Now, I've got a small rant to Japan segment this week, but ever since Valencia Marathon, I seem to have hundreds of expert physios, doctors, coaches. Everyone these days seems to somehow know my training and my body better than me. It's truly astonishing, but I appreciate that most people are just trying to be supportive and give their input. But I think by now I know what training works best for me, and I appreciate all the input, but I'm not gonna suddenly switch up my method. Clearly, I've gone from a 2:38 marathoner to 2:14 by training bloody hard. That's how I've made that jump. I was a pretty bang average club runner back in the UK. Since I've been taking my training seriously, all self-coached, hammering it out and experimenting, finding what works best for me, I've made this crazy jump. And one bad race doesn't define the whole method. I think people have got a little bit worked up about one result. The marathon is brutal and you can't nail it every time. Like, look at the best marathons in the world. Half the time they drop out of races because when you're pushing it 100%, you're giving absolutely everything. If you're slightly off on race day, like you're coming in with a little illness or anything, then you're gonna have a shocker. So that's what's happened this time, and it would be completely moronic to suddenly throw everything away that's got me to this point. Doesn't mean I need to smash 280k a week, but I'm not gonna move away completely from this high mileage approach. Also, I've seen people saying that I don't need to keep smashing the mileage just for my YouTube, like to keep up this train harder stuff. Let me assure you, everything I'm doing running wise is not for YouTube. It has absolutely nothing to do with pleasing people or for the videos at all. I'm training the way I am purely because I think that's what's best for me. That's gonna get me the fastest. Nothing is for YouTube, and that's simply a byproduct. I'm showcasing my journey on YouTube as authentically as I can. The running itself will always come first. So with that hopefully answering a lot of people's questions, let's check out the results of this celiac test. Well, it doesn't get much clearer than that. We've got the control line there, the test line empty. So that means that I most likely do not have celiac disease. I almost wanted a definitive answer. It would almost be better. Like this whole thing, this whole Valencia like nightmare could have literally just been because I've got a cold and illness. But if I'd had something like this come through, then it's clearly like an obvious change and it gives a proper explanation. But I guess now we'll have to get the blood works done, see if there's anything that comes out of that, and hopefully we can get to the bottom of why I keep becoming anemic. And maybe the eventual answer is just that I'm pushing the limits a little too far and no one can sustain 280k weeks. But I really hope it's not that. That really would be a worse nightmare. So I think it's about time we get back into it and give this running malarkey another shot. So I'm heading out for a long run now, or I'm gonna attempt one at least. Gonna try like 30k or so, but as you can tell, I probably don't sound great still. I've definitely improved though over the last couple of days. I'm starting to get over this cold or illness or I don't know, whatever it was, but my body's been stiff. Just even those couple days of doing almost nothing, seems like as soon as I come back to running, everything tightens up. So I'm actually gonna give it a little zap now, give the full body with this weapon right here from Bob and Brad. This is the mighty D6 Pro Plus massage gun, fit for a cart horse. I feel like I keep upgrading my massage gun, getting more and more powerful. So I find my hips have been insanely tight, like my right hip, also my groin as well after Valencia. I think because I was stumbling all over the place, you know, in the race, that was a complete mess. Because my form was completely off, it's meant I've strained all these little weird muscles and tendons. And then obviously when I reduced the mileage anyway, cut down from like 40, 30k, down to, I don't know, I've been probably 10k, 20k a day only. Even that is enough to put some strain on my body because it's just coming out of that homeostasis. I find pre-run, this is good to just loosen the legs up, especially when it's cold outside. Like, oh, it's pretty brutal out there. You can see the windows all frosted up, but to be fair, there's a blue sky, which is very rare for a British winter. So I usually loosen the legs up with a massage gun and then do a little bit of stretching once they're loose. And that's my sort of pre-run activation. Yeah, those calves, oh, they're tender. Right, oh, I've delayed it long enough. Let's go out for this long run. Right, I'm going on a little freestyle explore route. We'll see where we end up. I do feel a bit sore getting going. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but yeah, just having those few days off has properly banged me up. It always is like that. Like when I'm in my standard training routine, that's when I actually feel the best, when I'm smashing out the 40K days. So you just got to get back to that now. So this is the comeback arc, and what better place to commence things?
And the last time I was running along here, I was a 2:38 marathoner, a 72-minute half marathon guy. It's kind of mad in 2 years what's changed. Didn't have a YouTube channel either, so yeah, what a journey it's been.
So I kept ticking over those Ks and reached another nostalgic spot.
So I made it over to the Olympic Park. We've got a stadium there. Got some legendary memories from here. Back when I was younger, watching the Olympics, the World Champs. Maybe I'm biased, but nobody does it like the Brits.
I've been to a lot of running events around the world, but the atmosphere in that Olympic stadium is like nothing I've heard before.
He won races in Shanghai, was second in Melbourne, and now listen to this.
Even though my opinions on Mo Farah have obviously changed since the truth got revealed, remembering him winning gold here still gives me the old goosebumps. It was the stuff of legend.
So I've been going for over an hour and a half now. I'm up to what, 22, 23K. The effort's very, very high. Like compared to what it should be, I'm running only like 410, 420s. I'm way up in like 160 heart rate. It's definitely like a flu illness going around that's kind of wiped me out. I guess the solution is pretty simple. I can just never leave Japan. Clearly that's where I'm safest. That's the environment I know best. As soon as I leave that, I'm in the danger zone. Let's go, mate. Yeah, it's been crazy to support so many people.
So shout out the Ran to Japan army, the strongest force on all of YouTube. But now it's time for a couple huge race reveals. So my plan originally after Valencia was bounce straight back into racing. You know my style by now. I'd lined up a 10K 1 week after, but at the moment I can barely jog. So that 10K is off the cards now. I've definitely written that one off. Hopefully I'm just over this illness or whatever it is soon. I can get straight back into it next week. But I'm not putting any pressure on the race at the moment. And to be honest, these ones, yeah, they were just gonna be a bit of fun, but it's not the end of the world if I miss them. Because my big plan going forward was 8 weeks after Valencia Marathon, I was gonna attack this rapid marathon out in Japan. So it's called Nobuoka. I had a lot of people asking, like, oh, are you doing Osaka, Tokyo, all of those? But this one comes a bit earlier, so it's February the 7th. And the reason for choosing that is because it's the only marathon in the whole of Japan where they've got a pacemaker going at about 2:10 pace. All the other races, it's either 2:6 or nothing. So everyone goes out that ridiculously aggressive pace and 99% of them just die. So I don't quite fancy that. And I want to take the sensible approach to racing, run those even splits. I think this race is perfect for that. There should be a massive squad there, so I can just jump in the group, like sit at the back, ton of rapid Japanese guys there, and hopefully get dragged along to a quick time because yeah, I want to bounce straight back. I feel like the fitness is there. I can just get over this cold, sort my iron out, and then I'm very close to that sub 210 shape that I'm after. So this is like marathon season now. It's cold weather, it's good, it should be chilly out there. And it's not just Nobuoka that I'm doing. So that's a big target one, but then also I'm gonna hit Tokyo Marathon, the return. The scene of the crime where I set my PB, but had probably my worst race to date. Oh, I guess I've updated that now after Valencia. But yeah, I want to come back to Tokyo for revenge. And also around those races and in the build up to both of those marathons, I'll have a ton of half marathons, 10Ks as well. Because I love getting out there for those races and just feeding my competitive instinct. Now there's no rest for the wicked because the Europe tour wasn't over yet. And I headed off to Sweden for some, brace yourself, data-driven running. No sooner had I touched down and bang, I was straight into action in the lab for some lactate testing with the mighty Dr. Philip and the legends from the Nomio team. So let's find out what all this science is about with Olympic silver medalist Evan Jaeger giving me the rundown. No pressure, 100,000 people right now. Do you want to introduce what are we up to today?
Yeah, we're just doing a little lactate testing.
Yeah.
3 by 5 minutes, off a minute rest, taking blood lactate numbers in between each test. Increase the speed a little bit and see how you adapt
All right.
to the increased speed.
Hopefully I can handle it. We'll see how the body hangs
Sure,
up.
you'll be fine.
First time ever getting tested. I've literally never had my bloods done, threshold, nothing. We'll see what the numbers are saying and how the train harder approach stacks up when it comes to the actual data. Now, it felt weird just running on a treadmill, as it's been at least 5 years since I've touched one of these robot monstrosities. It felt like my leg turnover was insanely fast, and I was basically sprinting to keep pace, but actually the heart rate wasn't too bad.
Now you gotta look good for the camera.
It's crazy, this is slower than marathon pace, but it feels like I'm flying. So I just about made it through the 3 stages as the paces ramped up from steady to marathon and then sub 3Ks for the last one. I then knocked back one of the broccoli sprout powered Nomio shots and waited for the effects to take place. Before me and Andreas from the Breaking Marathon Limits podcast returned to the lab for another torture sesh. So I'm up soon for round 2 with the testing. It's been about 3 hours since I had the Nomio. We've just been chilling, relaxing, then coming back, do the exact same thing, 3 by 5 minutes, same pace, and hopefully this feels a bit easier. See if we get a little bit of that lactate buffer in, because yeah, the first time was brutal, man. I think this cold is still definitely in my system. First bit of hard running since Valencia, and I felt every single bit of it. Now after another round on the treadmill of torture, it was the moment of truth.
So at 18.5, the first time you got 195, and now after Nomio, 3 hours later, 159.
Okay.
So it's about 0.4 load. At this workload, 19.5, you have 4.1 millimoles,
Yeah.
and now 3.91. And the last one, before Nomio, 532, and now 372. So
It's gone down.
yes, it's a huge drop. You're a good responder,
Okay.
I would say.
What's weird, that final one, that
Yeah.
literally felt like it would be about 20. But like, it felt like I'm sprinting a 3K. But
But it's actually 254 per kilometer.
really? Okay.
So after the calibration. So it's faster.
It is
than,
great.
a bit faster than 20 kilometers. But it's always hard to do like double threshold with
Yeah.
that short rest. So you tend to feel worse.
Yeah, it felt
Anyone?
hard at the
Yeah.
start. I was
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
I'm working there. So it's good to have some data backing that the feeling I've been having after taking Nomio is supported by the lactate reductions. And being a super responder, I need to just load up on the stuff before all my hard training. But most importantly, I got backing from the doctor himself that I'm capable of a sub 210. It's not a matter of if, but just when. Although the Japanese approach of burying yourself in every session while hammering the behemoth mileage did somewhat go against his controlled lactate-based model that everyone over here uses. So it was pretty interesting yesterday getting the lactate testing. It was just annoying that I was coming into it with this cold illness, because it meant that all the sort of paces and stuff were probably thrown off. Like my actual values would be different, I guess, if I'm fully healthy. But I started to feel actually this morning a bit better. Got out for a nice little 25K shakeout. I was joined by a world-class big dog, Evan Jaeger, and he's actually living out in Sweden now working for Nomio, so that was pretty cool running with him. We then had a sesh of eating in Sweden with another world-class weapon, European record holder Andreas Almgren, featuring some banging meatballs and top-class banter. It's been a pretty quick trip here though in Stockholm, in and out job, strictly business only, but I'll have to come back because it was unreal running around this morning. And hopefully this is the start of the comeback, maybe a bit of train smarter and harder. I love it. I posted some pictures on my Strava of the testing and the comments were going mental. It's like people don't realise that my catchphrase is tongue-in-cheek. I think people are taking it a little bit too serious. But on that note, you know how we close things out. This has been Jake with Ran to Japan. I'll catch you in the next one. Remember, train harder, not smarter. And don't forget, I've got that link down below if you want that sweet 10% discount off your Bob and Brad order.